Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again on In the Metal. We are delighted to bring another episode of our look into the world of independent watchmaking and to discover some of the processes and the people and the companies who often operate behind the scenes of some of the big, established, well-known names that we all know, we all love, we all appreciate, and tonight that is actually what we will be doing, because we will be going live to the Chaux-de-Fonds in Switzerland to look at a brand that really has it's a brand that has been in existence for almost 120 years. Will be 120 years next year. And has been producing continuously since it was established back then. So we better get cracking on this. And so I would like to go across to Gun Barrel City in the state of Texas and welcome Dan Spitz.
What's up there, Johnny boy? How you doing, man?
All is super good at this end, honest to goodness.
I'm so glad to be alive and be here today.
Yeah, I sure that absolutely. I sure that absolutely. So, hey, Dan, before we get moving on, how are things going with in Gun Barrel City in the new atelier? You're looking every time I see you. You look to have more gear behind you, more equipment, more machines.
It's my Shaolin 102 there, where I do most of my work on there.
That's heavy metal, man.
It's coming along really, really well, Johnny. I've embraced some 3D technology here to get these guilloche machines up and running, because really nobody has any answers as to these machines that are so ancient and so old that are going to be making my dials, and how to hop them up and get them going. It's so rare that I'm going to use some of modern technology and fuse that to manufacture some things that'll get them up and running and help me, especially on my brocading machine. So that's what I've been doing. I've been a little bit of school, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and everything here is just wonderful and amazing, man. How about you?
Epic. Yeah, Dan, we are busy as ever. It's just so amazing how quickly this year is going in already, and so I think with In the Metal, it's occupies a lot of time, and it 1 week goes into another. It's been brilliant, loving doing this.
You know what I find fascinating about In the Metal and independent watchmaking? The amount of people in independence in this day and age that we are able to get on this show. Some of the most powerful people in the industry to put a stamp in time of this third wave of independent watchmaking, of where we are and where we've come and how fast it's come, and how these are the purveyors of the future. We are the innovators, the micro mechanics, the artists, the creators that others go to, the biggest of the biggest.
Yeah.
They come to the independence. They have come to the independence in the past. And basically, that's what's going on with our guest tonight as well. And he's going to show you, in addition to the monumental brand that they are, the feats that they have accomplished, it goes even beyond that. Because some of the most hardest to obtain parts for any watchmaker, especially independent, is the Hairspring. And we're going to talk a lot about that and enlighten a lot of people to some stuff they probably never, ever even dreamed of or saw, and the implementation of just insane stuff. It's just crazy.
No, look, okay, you just hit on something there, Dan, and that is Hairspring, manufacturing of Hairsprings, because that is a dark art. It is something that is, it is the heart of every single mechanical timepiece. Requires the hairspring, which is located inside the balance wheel and which delivers that consistent, regular pulse that drives the mechanism. It distributes the energy that's coming out of the barrel spring. And is it easy to make?
That's what we go to. That's basically what we go to a watchmaking school for. It's been six months just working on a hairspring, so it is the dark side
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, do you know what? 5 minutes in, we better go across. So we're the guest that we're talking about tonight is CEO of a remarkable little brand called, or maybe the word little is not correct, a remarkable brand called Schwarz Etienne. There's a brand that I have known about for many, many years, because when I went to the watch shows, I would always eventually, ultimately find myself, the only place that loved me was where the independents were. And so that's why I spent my time in those halls, getting to know the guys of the AHCI or the other independents in the palace area of the Basel World, etc. So yes, enough of my waffle. So yes, tonight, Mauro Egermini from Schwarz Etienne, welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on In the Metal, Mauro.
Thank you, guys. Very glad to be here with you tonight also, and very glad to be vaccinated, still alive, fully vaccinated, and to share this beautiful time with you and all the people who are hearing.
Thanks for coming on, Mauro. Great to have you on here to share your inside information, past, present, and future of the monumental brand company and artisans that you represent. It's quite incredible. As we gave you a little longer, introduction than most, because of this is valuable information that's ahead of us here. We want everyone to kind of stay tuned, because we're going to talk about things that we seldom dive this deep into.
Absolutely. So the brand is Schwarz Etienne. You'll be celebrating 120 years of continuous watch movement production next year. And that's also a pretty rare claim to be able to make, because a lot of watch companies that are existing today that go back 100, 200 years, they haven't enjoyed a continuous run of production. There have been brands that have gone out of business. Maybe the owner or the namesake of the brand has passed on, or no heirs to take it on. So 120 years for continuous production is no small matter when we're talking about watchmaking. So it's a real pleasure to welcome you on board. So tell us a little bit about Schwarz Etienne, Mauro. What has happened since you assumed the role of CEO in the company?
No, what is more incredible about Schwarz Etienne, before all, is that the company, family company, until 2007, was on the hand of the grandson of Paul Arthur Schwarz, and his name is still alive. Is Paul Schwarz. So for more than 100 years, it has belonged to the same family. Then Schwarz Etienne has been bought back by Mr. Radicchi, an Italian guy. So I'm second generation Italian guy, born in Switzerland also. And what is crazy is that he bought Schwarz Etienne not because of the brand, but because of the houses. Because Mr. Radicchi is a guy who is working in real estate. He built hundreds houses per year in the Neuchâtel area. Okay, and when he put one foot in, he fell in love with the brand and decided to invest. What is nice also about Schwarz Etienne is that now we have the full DNA of the brand, because during all its story, Schwarz Etienne began by developing movement under three names: Schwarz Etienne, Alpha, and Venus. Venus movement were done by Schwarz Etienne also. After that, during the quartz crisis during the 70s, they decided to stop the production, like everyone in Switzerland, almost everyone, because Rolex did continue at that time to produce a mechanical movement. But they stopped the production, but they continued to produce watches. And early 80s, they developed private labeling. So Schwarz Etienne developed and produced the first watch of Chanel, which is still alive, which is called La Première. and also hundreds of thousands of Alfred Dunhill for years. And this helps the brand to relaunch mechanical movement watches, but not anymore with manufacture. And since 2013 until now, we redevelop the movement, restart production of the movement, included oscillating organs and escapement with Hairsprings, clearly. We redevelop private label. So we are with 3 different companies. Okay, we have Schwarz Etienne, we have the division of time, which is our private label and movement selling company, and E2O Innovation, E2O meaning escapement oscillating organ, okay, where we produce Hairsprings, balance wheel, and so on.
Okay.
So what is beautiful is that in 7 years, 6-7 years, we took all the history of Schwarz Etienne, we shaped everything, and what comes out, exactly what they did in the past.
Yep, exactly.
But this time, everything is on one time.
What's fascinating is how many Venus movements I used to have come across my bench doing restorations, you know, the 178 and all that. So it is full circle for me.
Sorry, but I don't hear you.
Check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
I can hear you, Dan. Can you hear me, Mauro?
Check, check.
Strange.
No.
Check, check.
Well, one moment, Mauro.
Check, 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 check. Mic check.
Oh, sorry, it comes on my AirPods. I don't know why.
Can you hear us now?
We'll continue like that.
Okay, what I said was, as a vintage watch restoration specialist for so many years since I was a little kid, I've had so many Venus movements come across my bench, you know, the 178 and so many. It's come full circle, this conversation for me as well. And it's also really good for others to know that who are independents and who are starting out, because some people cannot obtain even the small machinery or the pre-owned machinery swiftly enough to get going. Some people, young watchmakers, have been out of school maybe 5 or 10 years and they're ready to make their first piece. They're looking for an Ibash, you know, or some kind of movement, and they probably, a lot of them should be aware that you can provide that and more, which we'll get into. But you certainly made a huge impact with the design of your movement, and also the specialization of Microrotors, which I was also working with Chaux-de-Fonds for their Microrotor system, which is one of the best I've ever seen in my life. And I know how hard that is to do. I don't think people understand how hard that is to do and get it right and get longevity into that. It's way harder than just a regular mass rotor that you see. So those who are watching, those are collectors that are really want to know more about Microrotors. It's a pain in the ass to develop good. And yours, if you could tell us a little bit about yours, because I know it kicks ass.
Yes, so what is nice with our movement is that normally you develop a Microrotor to have a thickness of the movement, which is the smallest possible. In our movements, we choose another spirit, clearly. First of all, the brief in terms of design was, I want a look of an old pocket watch movement. It's the reason why we have 6 bridges here. It's clearly not industrial, clearly not. Mm-hmm. So it gives also its character, its beauty. Second thing, we wanted to make a logistic of conception, meaning we want to have several functions, but maintaining the same thickness of the movement. So if we turn the movement upside down, because here we are on the face, which is back on the yes, here we are on the front. We can have putting components inside the existing movement. We can have hour, minutes, and small second at 6. Small second, yes or not, you choose. You can have power reserve indication at 2 o'clock or at 9 o'clock on the same movement. And you can have a GMT central central GMT, 24 hours with hand or with a disc. And this on the same thickness, on the same encageage, we say in French. So the movement is like a sandwich where you put things inside, but the thickness of the sandwich doesn't change. And it's also good for independent brands to think. It's a little bit thinking out of the box, you know, but also it's a way to reduce the costs and to be at a lower price on the market. Why? Because if you want to, normally what do the watchmaker, or what did the watchmaker in the past? You have a standard movement. Oh, okay, I want a GMT, you put a plate on the top. You want a power reserve, you put another plate on the top. And each time you put a plate, you change the dimension, and you are obliged to reorder the cases. Okay? And you know, we all know that if you order a small amount of cases, the cost will be enormous. Or you go to Dan and he produced with the Chaublin Tower tour behind you. And but so we know that. So it was cost-wise, design-wise. And after the Microrotor, I totally agree with you, because nobody think, nobody believe that it's a complication. It's something really hard to develop and to master. But it's not taken like a tourbillon or like a minute repeater, clearly not, because it's not as much complicated. But this is something to master. And when you have to make the balance sheet, energetical balance sheet of all the gear trains between the Microrotor, which give the energy to the barrel and everything. So it's less easy, clearly less easy than a normal automatic movement with a big oscillating weight.
I can see that it is a complication, in that you have to completely reconceive the entire movement, and you have to, the Microrotor, that space that the Microrotor occupies there, it has to be. It isn't just there. It needs to be factored into the whole design of the movement. So where there are other complications, as you say, that are maybe more technically complex, it's still a logistical challenge.
What it is not many watchmakers, unless you're extremely traditionally trained and you're dealing with the top luxury brands, have had a chance to really see how they've progressed. Because way back, when Bulova did it, it was very raw and very basic. The idea was there. That was it. They broke the mold. But yeah, no, I view it as an extreme complication. The one I work with Chopard co-developing, and getting that to work with the jewels, and it has cams and jewels. Everything has to be balanced. There's special movement holders just for three different sub-assemblies. Otherwise, if a normal watchmaker takes out a timepiece apart, that loop, and puts it back together without the jigs, it's never going to work correctly. It's serious stuff. And I love what you guys did, because you made a double barrel movement, because it's very modular, and you just pull a barrel, and guess where the second barrel's not there, but the Microrotor fits in there. And that's a great idea. Like you said, very modular.
So it's flexible. Yeah, sorry, the modularity is what was the first thing, because modular, and we have a patent, because you change the bridge, and then you put, you change the bridge where you have the barrel, and you put the Microrotor. It's a little bit more complicated, because the wheel and the balance wheel is not the same. But what is incredible is, with two barrels, we have more than 96 hours of power reserve, but with one barrel, we are still at more than 86 hours. So the double barrel is not for the longer lifetime of the power reserve, but it's to give more torque, more energy to the movement, in order to train also the complication in the future.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for independents that now they can know. Hopefully, if they're watching this, the availability of something like this, like you said, they could buy one case, 10, 20 cases, and be on their way with a little bit of modularity and offering, and onto whatever they'll do, next up the ladder or whatever it may be. Because some people just got to get going. You got to get going, no matter how you're going to do it to become an independent. You got to get off the ground, and you got to get going, and it's really hard to get going. We have so many stumbling blocks to buy small quantities of e-Bosch from anywhere, anybody. Nevertheless, screws, jewels, or whatever. So this is definitely a really big jumpstart. But back to your timepieces, because what blew me away the first time I had saw them was that small retrograde and where you placed it on the movement. And I think everybody saw that and was like, okay, this kicks ass, man. This is great design.
Thank you. So why we developed that movement, because I am the son, or I was the son of an antique dealer, and when I was a child, I used to play with beautiful pocket watches, minute repeater Jacquemart, mysterious watches, tourbillon carousel, and so on. All these watches are now in museums, clearly, or in private collections. But I was really frustrated because I have never been able to see how a retrograde function, because all the retrogrades you have on the market and still now are always guided by the dial. And because also the new strategy of Schwarz Etienne is to be kind of Houdini who shows its magic tour. It's a magician who shows his magic tour. We want to de-dramatize the complication to show on the top how it functions clearly. So this is a beautiful example. So here, what is also a little bit critical, or it could have been taken as critical at the beginning, was how we train the lever which drive the second hand. Because the energy is directly taken on the tourbillon carriage. You have a snail on the tourbillon carriage, and this is this snail that push the pusher and makes the retrograde system functioning. And we did a lot of tests before to launch the watch, but what was clearly amazing, because I heard that nobody took one time the energy on the tourbillon carriage directly, because it's something not fragile but risky, and we lose only 5 degrees of amplitude. 5 degrees, so it's nothing. And the work is done each minute. It's not so it's really cool, and we place it there. Clearly, it's design wise, because it could have been also at 3 o'clock, one or on one part or on the other part. But to equilibrate the full watch, it's better to have that at 11 o'clock, and also for the visibility.
Most watchmakers, once you got a tourbillon going and that cage is balanced and all that, then the other guy comes along and says, hey, let's connect a split-second rack to that cage as it's turning, and the first thing he's going to say to you, or the first thing I would say to you, is, besides your nuts, is you're going to reduce the amplitude. It's not going to be consistent as this happens, as that happens, as this technical type stuff that we would know. We wouldn't want to mess with it, is the bottom line. But then there's the other brain that just says, let's push the boundaries and see if something can work. And those are the people that I love, because that's what I do. When someone tells me it can't be done, I'm headed down that path. I'll show you.
He went that way.
You can't make music like that. No one's going to listen to that noisy crap. Yeah, right. Okay.
That's a close-up of the mechanism there that you're describing. We often see the retrograde hand and the retrograde indication, but how it actually works is something that is more of it's pretty much hidden from view. So this is Le Chaux-de-Fonds Petit Second Retrograde Tourbillon, and that's really the innovations are all on display there.
So cool.
Isn't it?
Thank you, Dad. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the color on because we are playing, with mechanical things, but we try to put a bit of poetry, putting colors, putting stones, putting also shiny stones, because here, so in that case, the green one, it's not a real stone, because it's a glass coming from Murano, It's green aventurine. And inside that glass, you have particles of metals. So when you play with the light, it gives a slightly shiny effect, you know. This is, it's not a discotheque, clearly not, but this is something I like very much, you know, to play also with color, because everything gray, everything black, everything white in watchmaking, you know, it's a little bit boring, according to me.
Yeah. I love it. I think that recently there's been an explosion of colors being used on particularly with a lot of the independent brands. And then you always find that when the independent brands do something that's successful, that's getting headlines or monochrome, or people are writing about it, then the big brands are usually not too far behind them. And as we see that,
it's okay and it's fine to take a risk for creativity and artistic reasons. And if there's someone out there that happens to love that, that's what it's all about. It's to listen to our heart and create art and give love back to the world. It's mass production is for somewhere else. It's, everything is black, white, and gray. You know, that's just that's.
But you know what? It's difficult is you are not international. You have not inside you the international taste, you know. And each time you launch a new product, it's always risky. Clearly, it's risky. But I think the most beautiful gift is when you have the wow effect, you know. People coming and say, yes, you choose that color. I love that color. You choose a stone. I love the stones. Nobody does that. So it's, but from time to time, you have also the Berk effect, not the wow effect, you know. It can happen, you know. Until now, it's never happened until now. Never happened.
You know, when you make a music album, like there used to be a minimum of 10 songs on the album, right? You had to have a minimum, and then you make extra songs just in case some of them sucked. But out of those albums, even when I bought an album, if I bought an album by another artist, you'd always have like one favorite song, or you'd make it almost to the end of the vinyl itself, and you'd be like, I don't like that last song, and you take it off. So it's that same effect in art. But there is that one person somewhere up in Nome, Alaska, and he loves that last song, and that's all he keeps playing, that last song. So you just never know, right?
No, what is a pity right now is with Spotify, you don't buy any more albums. You only pick up songs like that, you know. I remember, and still now, I continue to buy albums, because when you listen 10 times the album, finally you love all the songs.
There you go.
Clearly.
Sometimes art is not even meant for you to absorb it all the first time. And go listen to the old Genesis albums with Peter Gabriel and all that, or Rush. That stuff was art that was meant to be absorbed, and that falls back into micromechanical art as well. It might not hit you. There's many things and many timepieces or many movements that I've taken apart and put back together over my years, and just at first it didn't hit me, and then all of a sudden, years later, you fall in love. I mean, look at people. Watches got bigger, and now they're getting smaller. And we're human. And wait, before I flip out on that one, what kind of music are you buying now? And what kind of music did you grow up on?
So I grew up with Police. The Police, I think, is my favorite. My favorite. You don't have to put on. Prince was also a great artist. Perhaps one time we will sing Purple Rain together.
Yep.
Yes, more rock and roll. Yes, clearly AC/DC. Anthrax, sadly, just a few songs, but in Europe it was not that big. So I think on my side it was not really well known. But I'm listening now from time to time, 2-3, because what was hard rock before is rock and roll now, clearly. Because you have heavy, speedy metal, which is something totally crazy. And we have a festival in Loloc, 10 kilometers far from here, with 3 days with rock and metal. So you have to come, clearly, Dan. You have to come because you have things which are out of this world. I've seen I've seen a guy from Sweden or Norway, I don't remember, with a it seems it was Inferno, you know, Inferno. He had a how do you say when you are dead and you have the face? It's
mask, is it? Or
no, a face of the bones.
Ghost.
No, the bones head, you know, on the scene, and he was singing like
down Opeth.
I have never been so afraid in my life. I was in front of the scene, all my hairs were there, you know. I quit 5 minutes.
You know, what's really funny is people like that scare the crap out of you and sing all that. So most of the time when you're hanging out backstage with them, they're the sweetest, nicest guys, as opposed to the guys that are on stage that are spitting out love, I love you, baby, and I can't wait to kiss you. And those guys backstage are assholes. But get back. You're right though. Back in the 80s and 90s when we were like massively huge in Europe, we would play huge places, and then when we get to Switzerland and it's all scaled down to like a club. Switzerland wasn't really grasping hold of the whole thrash metal type of scene back then. Took many years.
Yeah, you can say more later.
Much later. Yeah,
more real down.
No, I mean we would be in England doing a festival for I don't know a couple 100,000, and then we'd be in a club in Switzerland, but we still go there to play. That's just always we'd always go. That's good. So you're somewhat metalhead. That's really cool. I remember seeing Prince in Radio City Music Hall later in his life, and it destroyed me. I couldn't play for a long time. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw him a couple of times here in Ireland, and famously, I drove from one end of Ireland to the other on my own to see Prince. Nobody was going, Prince, man, you know that's all right. And
let's flip it. Let's touch a little upon Hairsprings. Hairsprings for those collectors and those independents that are watching here, or watching at a later date and searching the world trying to get one perhaps for your timepiece, and you have no idea where to get one, how to get one, because you can't get one, and what the CGS number is, what everything is. Even if you went to school, it's a pain in the ass to get what you need to produce your own timepiece. So it would be everyone's dream to be able to purchase some, or to know a little bit more about. If you haven't visited a Hairspring factory, there aren't many. I know when I started out, there was one, I think, in Switzerland, right? And then that was the fear of all of luxury watchmaking was always, if there's a fire, the country is going to go down because there's not enough fondue there to keep everybody going, right? You need Hairsprings. That is the heart of the watch, everybody. It is really what we go to school for all those years in watchmaking. It's the heart of the watch, and you have developed and have your own Hairspring factory, making it from raw material. If you could talk about that a little bit, it's just incredible.
Sure. You know, if you want to come to visit, the door is wide open to everyone because we share everything. You know, it's so difficult to master. Mm-hmm. Even if you copy the machines, it took more than 5 years to master a bit. You know. And the investments were huge also. So it's a reason why it's not a secret, you know, we show everything. And so we are stupid, but I think we have to be totally crazy and stupid to be and to launch that kind of factory. But finally, also for the brand is so important, you know, because if you don't have any heart, you can breathe, you can live. And now it's still difficult, and the situation is still difficult in Switzerland to obtain Hairspring. So
yes,
even for us, it's really cool.
Particularly for small independent watchmakers who are, they're really they're stuck. You know, where do you get these components, and if you get them, how many do you have to buy from these large corporations who are providing millions of Hairsprings to
If you want to know why a lot of independents starting out, or just independents in general, are basing all their watches on an ETA movement, on a 6497 or a 6498, is because they need that balance wheel and hairspring. It's just unobtainium. If you know what that word is, it's unobtainium.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, you can't design what you want to design if you cannot get the heart of the watch. And it really is not available in the quantities that we need for someone who wants to make 5 or 8 watches a year. It really is, because we might not need that exact CGS number. CGS number is the thickness, first the height, first the torque, first everything, the size of the hairspring, the width, and everything like that. We might need one just a little bit lighter or just a little bit stronger. So we'd have to buy numerous hairsprings to time them out to see what would work with the balance wheel, and then the train. It gets very complicated, but that's the basis of it. So we need many different sizes to get going in independence. What I'd like to ask you is, do you sell outside of your brand hairsprings to independents, to other brands that would want them?
Yes, we sell not huge quantities, but we sell outside. Yes, clearly. And you were talking about CGS, the mix between the ratio between thickness, heights, and so on. And I've learned a lot with the Ichigo company and the engineer inside house. And my first learning was, you take your CGS and you put it in the garbage because it doesn't mean anything. So if you want to reach good chronometrical stage, you have to calculate completely the hairspring, and you don't have to take a CGS, because CGS doesn't mean anything. So from time to time it works, but only having CGS, it's not sufficient. You need also to have the attache point, we say point d'attache in French, which gives the angle between where you hold the hairspring outside and compared to the double plate you have underneath the balance wheel, and so on. So it's really, really, really complicated, but it's really nice to see, because we start from a wire of 0.8 millimeter. The material, it's clearly a secret. We have been co-developing this material, and with the machine you see there, we reduce the dimension, the diameter of the wire, and it takes between 45 to 60 passes. How do we reduce it? So we have a plate in metal, and in the center of the plate we have a diamond, which is with a hole inside, and we force the wire inside the diamond and we pull the wire. Clearly it's done with oil, because what is crazy also is that the soft use the hard, meaning that the wire use the stones, the diamond. It's the reason why we put oil. And then we reduce slowly and slowly. It takes 3 weeks to go from 50 meter to go from 0.8 to 0.07 of diameter.
Oh.
And what is really interesting is that a wire of 50 meters at the end, at 50 meters at 0.6, at the end we reach 2,300 meters with 0.07. And you can imagine that each balance, each hairspring, the lengths we have to cut to make the snail is around 20 centimeters.
Show the machine, Johnny.
That's the process. This is what you need to do that process. So
exactly. So here we have 2 stages. Normally we use the one below, and you have first the rolls where you have the wire and the bobbin. I don't know how to say in English, but it's turn around a piece of metal, and then it goes underneath the first wheel on the left, up to the second wheel, and then it enters. What you see in blue with the orange peak is the oil jet,
Yes.
clearly, the oil. And inside the rectangular part of metal, you have the small diamonds. And then the big wheel you see in the center, it's totally recovered by ceramic. Why? Because this is a tractor. So we turn 7-8 times around this big wheel, and then we go back to the second to the right,
yeah,
where we rewind the wire. And it's covered by ceramic because you need strength to pull. And when the wire is really, really small, it can cut easily. So better not to put your finger in the middle because you will get salami at the end, and or sausages. And it's to avoid to hurt the wire clearly, and to avoid also to hurt the cylinder clearly.
Wow.
So this is the first step. So here we make one pass. After we rewind on the washing machine because we have to wash the material. Why do we have to wash the material? Because inside we have particle of tungsten and particle of titanium, and these both metal are really, really hard. And if titanium, because when you stress the material, this particle can come out. And if you don't clean the wire, after you put the wire in a smaller diamond, smaller hole, and then this particle can re-enter inside the material. And if they re-enter, it can or break the wire or make a kind of scratches, and it's not acceptable. It's a reason why we have to rewind the wire, and we need to rewind because you have to stress the material always in the same way. So you go on one side, you clean, you rewind, you go on the same side, you clean and rewind. And with 50 meters, the first pass we do with this machine is 10 minutes, and the last is, I think, 12 hours.
Whoa. Because it has
50 meters, 2,300 meters. This is the ratio. This is the reason why it takes that long.
Amazing. It gives us an insight into just what a challenge creating the Hairspring is, and how many is this machine built specifically to your requirements in Mauro?
Yeah. Clearly, they've been built for us and developed with engineer of BC Technology, inside house engineer, and external also engineer.
Yeah, see, this is something that's just so seldom talked about, because all we ever talk about as watchmakers is, we hate hairsprings because first we have to work with them and learn about them, right, in school, and yeah. we hate hairsprings when we do vintage watches because all the vintage watches we get back on our bench have been hacked up by people who actually call themselves watchmakers who should have opened up any kind of Patek Philippe or anything from the old days, so we have to fix that. And then we hate hairsprings because we don't own this machine that I'm looking at. No, because even inside of Switzerland, right, this is a secret. There's tons of secrets in watchmaking. It's just micromechanics. And this is to develop what you've developed. People should really know how hard this is. This is just an unbelievable feat. It is like going to planet Mars, because who's there to tell you what's right and what's wrong? And then to develop all the different sizes that we need at the end, what kind of metallurgy do we need, even inside the Swiss borders. It's unbelievable, man. Actually, it's mind blowing.
It is. It's something I have never seen before, Mauro. And
okay.
So obviously, if there are very, very few companies able to produce it, but it kind of underlines and emphasizes the importance of Schwarz Etienne to not only to your own manufacturing processes for your own portfolio, but also for other watch companies and independents and not so small brands as well, I'm sure. I know I've seen a number of recent releases over the last year or two with Schwarz Etienne as the powerhouse behind these brands. The likes of Ming, for example, have had some very, very successful pieces.
We are really lucky to have Ming, such a delicious team, you know, and they know everything about watchmaking. They are incredible guys, but so cute, so gentlemen, so everything's, and we share a lot of things, you know. They became friends after, now it's 3 years we are working with them. And coming back to the Hairspring, you are talking about secret, you know. Everything is marketing nowadays, and I hate when you market too much, you know. So my education is show what you make what you show, and prove it. Meaning that it's easy to say, okay, we put we close all the windows and we say there we do the Hairspring. Okay, marketing, and the more it is a secret, the less it is a reality. Normally. Really.
You know, that is independent watchmaking. That is what this third wave that we now call it. You know, I say third wave so you understand a little bit. We talk about that a lot in our shows. Is that, you know, which started in the old days with Paul Gerber, and you know, there was a second wave, and now we have what we're doing here. We have the ability to reach collectors and other watchmakers directly through our own television station, through Instagram. So we can take away the smoke and mirrors, and we can show the collectors who are embracing independent watchmaking and the art of it, what we're doing behind the scenes, because that is what we are. When you see what I produce here, you see how I like to make my art. I like to, if I want to build my own CNC machine, like you built your own Hairspring factory, that's me. When you buy my independent timepiece, you get a piece of my blood from that machine, and that machine that made my part that is in your watch and is on your wrist. Your blood is in that Hairspring machine. All your blood. You're not just money, because money can't buy everything, right? You're removing all the smoke and mirror bullshit. And you're telling people, here's my Hairspring machine, dude. Like, if you want the real deal, I'm the guy that's giving the other guy the Hairsprings. Like, I'm the guy. And that's what this wave of independence is. It's taken away, like you said, taking away the bullshit.
Yeah, there are other aspects of it too, because the trefilage, which is the wire drawing, which is turning 50 meters of wire into 2,000 meters. Then there's laminage rolling. Yeah,
laminage.
What is the process there then?
So it's a micro rolling machine. So you have two rolls, because, you know, all the Hairspring the section is rectangular, is not round.
Yes.
And so to transform it between, starting with a round, you have to press between two rolls to flatten it and to get a rectangular surface. What is totally crazy with this machine is that this machine is something, how can I say? It could be, this machine could be developed for the NASA, you know? Why? Because what is really important when you have a blade, because from wire you go to a blade, the thickness of the blade, if you have 1 micron of thickness difference, it means 3,000 seconds per day of running difference. 1 micron, okay? So this machine helps to reach 100 nanometers, plus or less 100 nanometers, 0.1 micron of tolerance. And we tested for 2 kilometers, 2,000 meters, and the machine was stable when the first time we got it, you know. And why it is so stable? First of all, because so you have the central block, which is black, and on the right you see like a black. It's a black camera, which makes the measurement, live measurement, from the top and from the side, and it gives the information to the upper block, so the upper roll. If something change, it change directly the thickness, and it correct directly the machine. This is the first thing. So it means that you can, if you have a deviation on the production process, you can have it on 10 centimeter. This is the distance between the roll and the camera, which makes a measurement. So this is the first thing. Second thing, this machine has a beginning and a little bit more than the beginning of IA, so intelligence, artificial intelligence. You have seen, if you can come back, Johnny, on the last picture with the two rolls.
Yeah, here.
So the diameter of the rolls are around 10 centimeter. So, and they are done with a special metal, which is really, really hard, because you have to press a small wire. It's impossible to get these rolls with a circularity and with a precision at the micron. So the machine learns the non-circularity of each roll by itself, and it auto-corrects at each tour. It makes the auto-correction of the non-circularity of each roll. So this machine is a crazy fucking machine.
As you were saying that before, like AI, that's exactly what I was thinking, because it's predetermining and then post-correcting. It's crazy.
But it took 2 years to master it, and to also to program it. So it's something really, really okay. You can try it. You can have the machine. If you don't know how to program it, if you don't know how to manage it, you are dead. You are dead. So
it's
even
a waste of money, a waste of investment.
That's what I tell a lot of people in independent watchmaking when somebody announces, "Hey, I'm doing this," or "I'm working on that," or "I really have a dream to make my own timepiece." And they are a watchmaker, or they are a dreamer, right? To make it happen. It really is what I said previously. When you wear a timepiece from an independent, the story you're hearing right now, the struggles to overcome, the achievements we have to overcome in independence, and the perseverance, it's beyond sitting around a boardroom with suit and tie guys in a brand and where can we get the money and who's making the machine and who do we hire to just run the stupid thing. It isn't any of that. It's blood, sweat, tears, dreams of usually one crazy nut within the company, probably looking at him right now. But that's what it is. And that's what separates every single independent brand, person, uniqueness, or micro-mechanical art from the next. There is no one that can copy anyone else. And to see this is like just releasing hidden secrets that only watchmakers who have maybe trained in Switzerland like me have been seen as the inside of any kind of Hairspring factory. And back then, that was, you weren't even allowed. You had to kind of be in a metal band and know somebody. You had to have a metal fan. It's usually a metal guy running one of those machines anyway. But yeah, it's unbelievable. This is what collectors who do purchase our timepieces, who do value what we do, right? They have to know more about this, and hopefully this can really show them how freaking hard this is. Like this is a wire that starts and ends like around 100,000th the thickness of one of your human hairs. Okay, yeah. That's what I sit and manipulate, or that machine has to manipulate to just get raw. Okay, we have to draw wire that's thicker because there is no such thing. It's basically invisible, and it goes down to just about almost invisible. And then it has to beat, so it has to expand and contract. That's what you see in your watch in the center there. Millions and millions and millions of time, and keep all that elasticity. and hopefully no hackmaster gets in there to touch it. So it's unbelievable. It is NASA. It's NASA stuff. I know it really is NASA stuff.
You're not exaggerating when you say that it's NASA levels of technology to have that consistency across 2,000 meters of, as Dan says, 1,000th of a human hair, 0.01 of a micron, the same consistency across 2,000 meters of coiled metal is.
And 2 years of someone's life is in that machine, and that's just to go, okay, I think we got it now, right? Then it still has to progress. Okay, now we have to make a different size. Now we have a new Ebosh coming out. We need a different this, we need a different that. It's ever evolving, but that's just to jump up and down and have a party and say, okay, I think it works now. that's what independent watchmaking is, yeah, right? It is.
Yeah, exactly.
It really works. It really ticks, But that's what's cool about us, And then we can proceed. But the problem we have as independents is we get that, say it's a timepiece and that really does that. Then it's like, okay, now what can we do? We need to be challenged. We're like racehorses. That's what we are. We're the creators, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is so
absolutely,
awesome.
Absolutely. But it's respectful what we are doing now, clearly. But when you think about watchmaker during the 17th century, without all this machine, without all the measurement toolings, doing that with a petrol lamp and with their hands and make the movement work, this is totally crazy. These were genius. Now,
it's building the pyramids, isn't it?
It freaks me out.
How the hell did they do it?
Totally freaks me. I mean, I got 2 guilloche machines I managed to find. It took years and years and years, just a pile of rust and, just missing this and missing that from before there was light. Yeah. And these things are that you can bring them right back to life. They need some special parts and whatnot. And how the hell they made this back then? It's insane. That's crazy, man.
So these deserve respect much more than nowadays. But nowadays, clearly, if it was easy, now you have, I think, 1, 2, 3 producers, which are not external. 2 producers external of one group, and after you have Richemont, Rolex, and Swatch Group, where they have the Hairspring, and that's it. So if it was easy, I think we would have much more supplier able to produce and to deliver that kind of components.
Yeah. That's what they say. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But just before we move on, what you said there, Dan, about the machines that you're restoring and bringing back to life again that were created, before the advent of AC and DC electricity, and that's actually what really hooked me about independent watchmaking, because once I started realizing what had been done 200, 250, 300 years ago, I was going, how the hell did they do that? And that really hooked me. I was going, this is amazing.
That's why I always profess to very young watchmakers who are traditionally trained and coming out of, say, a Woe Step and in Neuchâtel Woe Step school like I went to, or KHWCC, that they come out and nowadays they see us and they're like, they want to go straight to make their own timepiece. And I really highly recommend that you get bench time on vintage. Go do your job at Rolex or whatever it may be, but take it vintage, because it's a different mindset. It's from a different time, and you see the art, and it'll impact what you create. Not just the knowledge you'll gain, which you need anyway, which is what I always profess, of other people in there hacking away, and you have to fix all the problems. So you'll know what was a mechanical problem when they built it, and what will last the test of time when others that are in a timepiece that shouldn't be are hacking away. So you'll know how to make certain things thicker and better because of the hack master. He will be in your timepiece someday. I guarantee it. Not just that, but how they did it back then will blow your mind. And without that knowledge to pass forward, you're not passing forward. You need to see these timepieces. And how they made hairsprings back then?
Well, speaking of which, we've got a couple of questions from.
Yeah,
I know.
Took you 2 years with artificial intelligence.
But I think a lot of crafts that were kind of they arose out of necessity. All that time, long ago.
We needed ships to travel, right? We needed time.
Yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right, John.
But so anyway, there are a couple of questions here. One from our regular followers who. Thank you so much for keeping in touch with us. Tom wanted to know about how do you fix such a fine hairspring into a coil? And so I think we have an image of the coiling process as well. It needs explained.
So yes, it's difficult to see, but at the center of the coil, you have a pin with 4 not holes. How can we say? You put the blade on it. So you have a lift on the side. So you have a barrel first of all.
Yeah.
You have a barrel, and inside the barrel you put 4 blades. So you can see the 4 blades.
Yes.
At the center. So you start with 1 blade, you enter into the vertical hole, then you press 1 button, it turns off 1/4, you put the 2nd blade, then the 3rd, then the 4th blade. And then, yes, beautiful, then we can see better. And then the machine turns, and all the 4 blades are turning and are not assembling, but they are coiling the 4 blades up to one to the other, clearly. So after that, we are ready to the next operation. So the next operation is to press the top. So what you see on the top with the dark gray, the dark gray, it's a loop and it's a sapphire glass. And this, at the end, it will press the 4 blades in order not to have like castle effect, Everything has to be flat, because after that we will put each barrel on an oven to cook and to give the final flexibility, the final elasticity to the hairspring. The cooking, it's also something crazy. It took 3 months to get the right recipe.
Wow.
Why? Because you have four things which are really important, and everything is important. So the first is the time to reach the right temperature. Second one is the level of the temperature, because at plus 10 degrees, the hairspring will be soldered one to each other, to the other.
Yes.
So it destroys the production.
Wow.
And if you cook 20 degrees, not enough, when you will separate the hairspring, instead of being fixed, they will be a little bit larger, and it won't work again, because we have a step between each blade, and the step has to be really regular. And finally, the time of cooking. And so before last, the time of cooking, and finally, the time to refresh all the material. So this one is stage after. But what is totally, and I love to tell that story, because clearly, when you separate after, because you cook the hairspring, and after you push them out, but they are all together 4x4. And to separate the hairspring, we have been trying to develop machines with vibrating carpets. It doesn't work. You go with a pins. You make a packing sheet with the pins, because you torque, and if the hairspring is a little bit torqued, you're dead. And finally, you put it in the box, and you shake the box. And once you have shaken the box, the 4 hairspring are free the one to the other, you know.
Yeah.
But you have to shake them in the plastic box or in a cardboard box, you decide, and you shake. And this can only be done by hand.
You have to make a human box shaking machine.
Yeah.
like you got it really is. Sometimes you think it has to be complicated forever, and then you figure out, no, this is so stupid. I gotta just shake it in a box, man.
Yeah. When you put millions of the machines, and finally the only way, which is qualitative, is to put it in a box and to shake. But you don't have to shake all the time the same, because from time you shake, and from time to time you hit your leg, you know. And after that you have the red leg, or red wrist, you know. And so
that's watchmaking too. Like for watchmakers who manufacturer like me, we each have some weird shit like that we do. It's just, we look at another guy, he does it that way, I do it this way, and there's no machine, you know, we'll buy it if it's there, or we'll build it usually, or some guy has some contraption, or it's so fun. It's a funny art, and it's really, that's what's cool about it. It's human, man. It's like a joke at the end. All right.
Yeah.
2 years to develop machine. You're pulling this wire that's just basically invisible to the fucking human eye. Watchmakers have to manipulate it, call it later, and they're cursing. Everyone's cursing, and you gotta shake a box. It's a joke.
I think I've come up with an idea how you could bypass that human element, and you would require a loud room, okay? And in that room, you would have a huge speaker with anthrax coming out of it all day long.
The rumble from my music is the
solution. You can have that for free. Okay. So
wow, beautiful.
It is unbelievable. All I could do is, as I always do, is let the word out and let people like you who do have these capabilities that are so unique, that, you know, all the independent watchmakers I talk to, from the top, that me and Johnny talk to, that I've had on it, from the top to the bottom, who can't manufacture this, we're all crying. You know, we wish that we can buy small quantities of Hairsprings from somewhere. So to enlighten us and let us know that you have these capabilities to possibly supply some of us, man, we just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So our wish is to do that, but developing a Hairspring costs a lot, you know, because you have the calculation after the development, after the time you spend 3 weeks behind the machine just to have the wire. 3 weeks, you know. So we have to think about standard, but nobody has for standard Hairsprings, you know. Nobody has 28, 24, 28. And after that, if you want big Hairspring like the 64, 97, 97, 98, we are not equipped, because the barrel you need for coiling are bigger, because you have to put more blades inside. And so until now, we didn't invest for that kind of Hairspring, because you have almost no demand on the bigger Hairspring, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult, but my wish is clearly to help the maximum of people.
But you can, if people think like me and watchmakers do, which is if before they engineer, they should be pre-engineering anyway, and decide. If they decide that they want to base their movement on something similar to your train, then they can use your wire or your balance wheel if necessary, or make their own, right? And right along those lines, design accordingly, and know that they can get that Hairspring. That's the way to do it. That's the way.
Yeah, I think this is the best way. If you redevelop a movement, but to help someone for something break years ago, from time to time, you have better to try with what is existing on the market, if you find it, than to develop something for 10 pieces, because the cost will be just
impossible.
Crazy.
Yeah,
it's impossible. And again, to reiterate, for those who are collectors, you know, always wondering why people in the independent world, you know, are basing their movement on something. Okay, their balance wheel on something, and it might be a little smoke and mirrors that they're not telling you. And this will take away, this conversation here takes away all the smoke and mirrors. Because if they tell you it's not, it's bullshit, okay? It has to be because they're not getting a hairspring. it's just the bottom line, man. It's where the heart is. So again, that's the truth.
Well, listen, that's been absolutely brilliant, incredible insight to
Amazing.
see what's behind the fundamental element of every wristwatch, every mechanical timepiece, the hairspring. Amazing to see it. We have a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about, but we have another question here from Thomas in Germany. And Thomas is asking, it's a good question, is everything in watchmaking so fascinating and creative? Or is there a serious warning about boring aspects of the watch, of the work? What can really kill you? Are you asking us, Thomas, is watchmaking actually dangerous? And are there parts of watchmaking that could kill you? So that's an interesting question, and one that we don't really give a lot of thought to. So what do you think, gentlemen?
So I think something can kill you if you throw the watch with enough strength just here. It can kill you. So, no. What is beautiful? What is beautiful is such a pleasure. So from time to time, it's never boring.
Mm-hmm.
Balls breaking, yes, but never boring, because from time to time you have issues, you have problems, and you have to solve that. But we are humans. It's the only added value we have against the machine. We can solve the problems. We are not just mechanical. Hi, Patrick, and a friend of us. And what is absolutely delicious, is the contact you have with suppliers, with client. This is so rich. You share the same passion, and you are not obliged to talk only of watches, only of mechanical. You can talk about everything because you know that you share the same passion, so you have the same blood in your veins, clearly. And I develop a lot of friendship, but worldwide, with suppliers, with clients, and this you won't find, I'm almost sure you won't find in another field. On the car industry, everybody price killers, everyone wants to kill the price to their price killers on the car industry. On the watch industry, you work on dream because you develop a dream. The dream, it's always the same thing, but it's the only jewel, almost the only one jewel for a man. We can wear it. It shows also your personality, and finally you work on the final product. But I can reassure you, it's so sexy. Sexy is the same to work for Schwarz Etienne than to work for our other clients on private label. It's the same emotion. Even if it's not your drawings, but it's the same emotion starting from a design and having the final product with all the 3D effect, because a design is flat. The final product, you can turn it upside down. And it's also a vector of all the human thinking, because we have no limits, guy. When you see what we are able to do, where we are able to go, 20 years ago, I think 18 years ago, because 18 years ago, I was at the Basel Fair, and I was telling to my friend, okay, nothing has been invented since the 19th century. Tourbillon again, tourbillon carousel again, minute repeaters. Okay, everything was reduced in terms of size and much more precise. And the accuracy of the movement was much better than on the 19th century. Okay, but that's old. It was old. And then Jean-Christophe Babin of Tag Heuer came and said, oh, V4, the V4 movement like an engine. And this was a renewal of the watch industry where we started again to think out of the box. It took 10 years to master that movement to Tag Heuer, clearly, but they insist the V4. Yeah. It was something absolutely crazy, but it was the first real new development on this earth since the 19th century. But, and after that, We had also Max Busser and friend with horological machine.
Because Renault and Pape is the beginning of independence, you know, creating that and so many others. That's it. That's, again, that word independent needs, every time we speak to somebody, it keeps getting put back in stone and shows everyone exactly the story you just told. You mentioned the V4. No one's mentioned that before. I saw that when I was at Renault Pape. That's what the genius, it was like a genius bin, you know, it was birthing, you know, independent, making independent movements in-house and not being conglomerateized, if that's a word, you know.
It is now.
It is now. Because I go, look, man, I'm a thrash metal dude who invented a new kind of music, right, that nobody liked in the beginning. It was 4 bands. Sorry, I got a bunch of flies here keep attacking me. And eventually, like we talked about previously, eventually it was embraced, and it's now just, you know, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And independent watchmaking at the level you're talking about now of creativity, because we don't really need the time on a wrist anymore. It's switched to art. It is a man's tool, like a nice pair of shoes or a nice suit or whatever it may be. It completes the man, but now it can complete his personality, because it's not just a function. It is a piece of movable micro mechanical art, and many of us to choose from, and expanding swiftly in the independent world. And it is beautiful and dangerous. Yeah, chemicals. That's the only danger I can think of in the old days, because you'll see on our desks, watchmakers' desks, we have little jars. And in the old days, you know, none of us knew about all these chemicals. I have 2 autistic children, so I know all about chemicals and the cumulative effect of them. You know, and we're sitting over a jar, you know, huffing alcohol and all kinds of gasoline, you know, benzene, you know, and all the time. So yeah, the cumulative effect of that, or being like a hunchback watchmaker when you're 91. That's about it.
That's what I would take 91. I would take that. But you know what? Because I wanted to get back, because since you have joined Schwarz Etienne, the portfolio has changed a lot. I remember distinctly meeting a gentleman who was, I think it was your sales director, maybe back in 2013 at Basel, and you had London and Lisbon and Liverpool watches. I think, am I right?
Yeah, the city, London, yes, but city name on Schwarz Etienne, it's always nowadays we use always city name. But we had the London, the New York, and the Roma. Roma is still existing now, and also what do we have? I don't remember all the Olympia, and on. So
but this is apart from Roma, the portfolio has evolved.
Because
considerably now. So
we decided in 2015, because I arrived personally early 2014.
Yes,
and I had the 2 6 bridges movement prototypes, and all the rest of the collection with conceptor movements, ETA movements, Celita movements. And because we had the constructor inside house, I decided to, first of all, launch the next generation of movement, taking this one, so the 6 bridges with Microrotor, but turning it upside down to show what is beautiful on the top. And this gave the birth to the Roswell family of products. Roswell, clearly. Why Roswell? Because the size of the case, it's a pity, because it's like I'm fanatic of science fiction. So I'm in love with Dana Scully and Fox Mulder a long time ago. One of my favorite movies, The Matrix, and I believe they will come on the Earth, you know, with the UFOs, with the shape of that case.
I think they're already buzzing the planet, bro.
I think so. That's right there.
And the gift, I draw myself, I designed myself the gift box, which is a UFO of the 60s, vintage UFO, you know, the one functioning with petrol, you know, with gas.
Yeah.
And and then we never stopped to continue to work. Again, here you see the microrotor on the top, you see the balance wheel, you see the heart of the movement.
Yes.
Clearly beating, and we move the small second at 11. It's a question of design because it's unuseful. The small second nowadays, when you have it on the top, is just to see that the watch is functioning, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But it was design-wise because three rounds are better than two to equilibrate, you know, or to disequilibrate. Sorry, to disequilibrate a bit the design and to put the SE at 4 o'clock. So it was my first creation in terms of design, and this is the ISE movement. Why ISE is irreversible Schwarz Etienne. Why irreversible? Because we turn it upside down one time and we will never come back again. Because starting from this movement, we did the development of the TSE, Tourbillon Schwarz Etienne.
Yes.
And the base of the tourbillon is this movement, the ISE. And this is the reason why, again, logistic of conception, 60% of the components of the ISE are included in the tourbillon, which allow us to have an entry price tourbillon watch in steel with a flying tourbillon microrotor less than 45,000 Swiss francs. This is because the base of that movement, again, is the ISE. But normally, automatic tourbillon, it's something rare.
Yes.
Flying tourbillon with microrotor is it's
Unique.
more rare, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It must be unique, is it?
No, I think that Geneva brand has one tourbillon with microrotor, but I don't know if it's a flying tourbillon or not.
Okay. But it's extraordinary. The reason I came back to this is because to see what the portfolio has evolved into in this contemporary era to create these absolutely beautiful pieces. The irreversible on its own, that's so distinctive, and you know, as you say, with the balance and the balance cock on the dial side. And not only on the dial side, but opened as well to completely exposed, and the microrotor at the 9 o'clock, small seconds, as you say, at 11. Beautiful pieces, and then that evolved into the Roswell 08.
Welcome to 2021. Very cool.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I'm in love with that watch because it makes old-fashioned watchmaking, because the column wheel you have at 5 o'clock is normally used to drive the chronograph functions. Clearly, and we use that column wheel as a it's not a gift. It's an ode to the chronograph. And here again, we de-dramatize the complication. We show on the top how it functions, because when you press when you press the pusher at 4 o'clock, you move the disc. It's a quick date release. You push the pusher at 4 o'clock, which push the lever, which is at 3 o'clock, and the lever push the column wheel. The column wheel is linked with the disc, with the date, and you see all the cinematic of how it functions. And this is clearly our DNA now to de-dramatize the complication. But you have, and here we decided to hide a little bit the microrotor in order to enhance all that quick date release system.
Yes.
And thank you for the colors, because life is poor. Life is. I want to put a bit of life in the life. You know, I don't know how to say.
And the little small seconds as well. It's a really cool little way of displaying the seconds as well. Big fan of this. Big fan of this.
Thank Thank you.
So as we had Roswell, and we had the Chaux-de-Fonds, and of course Roma being one of the older collections within the portfolio. Recently, you teamed up with Mr. Kari Voutilainen to create a very, very special the synergy, and I love the idea of that. And I know we've spoken with Kari here in the metal just about nearly exactly a year ago, Dan, believe it or not, and a great collaborator, a great a master who just he's a watchmaker of profound talent, also an extraordinarily canny businessman to have created the different branches of what he does. So we came up with the Roma synergy, and with the dial and mechanism finishing by Kari's companies.
Yeah, exactly. The dial. So the story was really nice with Kari. Just a few words, because the first time I saw Kari was 5 or 6 years ago when he won the prize at the GPHE, and I really fall in love with that guy and with all his creation. Yeah, because he's so not only sympathetic, but it's a little bit he's a little bit beside, it's not clear someone the first soul that jump in your arms and so on. And I love that kind of people. And after the Grand Prix, I had a look on all his creation, and I fall in love with the technique he mastered inside house, And 2 years ago, it was during the QP saloon. So we had before a beautiful night with the Grunefeld brother and Kari and my colleague Chantal and myself. Spending...
That's trouble right there.
Oh, wow.
Those are all metalheads.
Beer session, whiskey session.
Oh, yeah, those are all metalheads.
So good. When we were crying, we were laughing and crying at the same time. So it was beautiful. And 1 year after, so we were sharing lunch with Kari during the QP salon in London. But we were a big table, 15 people. And I was beside Kari and told him, Kari, I have just a dream. And you have to answer me. And it was absolutely not business-wise. My dream is I want your touch on one of our watches. Is it possible or not? I said, I'll let you 2 weeks, and I called you back in 2 weeks. And 2 weeks after, he said, for you, Mauro, yes, because we are friends. And we shared the design. So the design team of Kari drawn the dials. So we did some changing all together. Same thing on the movements. So on the movement, so the size of the movement and the bridges, the shape of the bridges was our. But we decided together with Kari to make a rose engine on the movement, and not because my wish was not to copy what Kari or to have the same that what Kari does, because with the sandblasting and the angling and so on. So we have angling, but we have the rose engine, and to me the result is just crazy. And and with Kari, I said, Kari, give me an advice. No, you have to choose the motif, the design, the pattern, yeah, on the dial and on the movement. And so we choose from on our side, but after sharing with him, so I think we met perhaps 20 times during all the design process, and finally to have that result, which is absolutely superb,
amazing.
And
That is so hard to do. People just need to know. Yeah. I mean, I got my guilloche machines here. That is unbelievable, man.
Isn't it just spectacular?
It must be blinding when you look at it.
And you know what is really nice is all the decoration of the movement are done by Carrie in his atelier, and all the dials are produced by a dial maker which belonged to Carrie. The name is Comblemine, French Comblemine. And if you come back on the last pictures, we developed a new balance wheel, the shape of the balance wheel. Now it was the first time that we used that shape on the Schwarz Etienne watch, and it's on the Carrie.
Beautiful, man.
It's absolutely
look at that. Look at the guilloche on the balance cock. It's wow.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Will there be any further of this collaboration, Mauro, or can you tell us, or would you have to kill us if we did?
I kill you before.
See, you're right. Watchmaking is dangerous. See,
that's the
there's your danger in watchmaking.
I will throw you on a carry.
You put us on the trefilage machine and 2,000 meters.
You got to be in good shape to get to Carrie anyway. He's all the way upstairs where his bench is, all up the top of the house.
Yeah.
We love Carrie. We love Carrie because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to share, but he does. And he does it time and time again to a lot of my friends who are in independent watchmaking. And we all just love him because he is the example of the future of independent watchmaking. Not just me. I buy this, I can run this. This is my dial factory. But, you would like one dial? I'll make you one, because one might be 10 later, right? And it creates a friendship. Everything you just said. We really, this is very reminiscent of the beginning of my band and how us and Metallica and Slayer and everyone, we're backstage, we're all friends. Okay, when we get on stage, it's war, right? It's a battle of the band. It's business, it's war, the game is on. Okay, it's same in independent watchmaking. It's like, here's my piece, just gonna kick your ass. But behind the scenes, we're having beers, we're happy. Who can we jam with? And I call that, like, Carrie's like the jam dude. He's the guy, we all want to jam with, and
so simple, so cute, so open. Like the Grunefeld also. Grunefeld are crazy guys,
Yeah.
But
we've tried to get them all here,
one and the other,
We've tried to get them all here, but they've got a lot on at the minute. So they've moved into their new atelier and Oldenzaal, and it looks amazing.
We wish them the best of luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Someday I hope to be able to persuade them to come and join us. But speaking of which, you've joined us, and it has been an absolutely wonderful 90-minute plus conversation. Mauro, I hope that you enjoyed it half as much.
Absolutely. Guys, I want you here, as I told you backstage before. Next time you come in Switzerland, I will be really angry and really metal.
Okay, we'll
be there. We'll be traveling hopefully soon, and as soon as this pandemic is officially over. I know my country is plowing through here, but we still got some time to go, and we would love to firsthand see the facility and see you and have some beers and whatever comes after.
Whatever, beer, wine, whiskey,
Sounds
the
good.
door of the company are wide open, but my door too. No problem.
Excellent. Just delighted. So listen, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight, Mauro. It has been a wonderful insight into
Thank you, guys.
One of the most technically challenging aspects of watchmaking that people just take for granted. These things just sort of materialize out of nowhere, do they? The Hairspring. Now we know so much more about it. So I'm delighted that you are along. For everybody who has been watching us again tonight or watching us again on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, follow us and hit that little subscribe button, and we would be so indebted to you to get the spread this word, and so more people can enjoy what we're doing. And so I want to thank everyone for joining us, and we will be back again with the next episode of In the Metal in the next week or so. And so that's from me anyway. Thank you very much, Dan, Mauro.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, like I said, and sharing all the knowledge. I hope everyone got a really wonderful insight into your pain and suffering. Thank you for showing and teaching so many this valuable information about how hairsprings are made and how hairsprings and everything is made on your premises. Because this is not just for now. This is information that will be here for years and years and years to come that will help other collectors, and it will help other, especially young watchmakers, to understand what this is all about and what independent watchmaking is. It's a dream, it's a passion, it's micromechanical art, and it's pushing all the boundaries, all of them. And you've done that, and you've done it successfully, and you're going to continue to do it, I'm sure, for a very long time.
We'll do our best. Hopefully, we'll do our best, and we'll try to do our best. And thank you, guys. Thank you for giving the opportunity to a small guy like me to be on the scene, and to share that passion, to share also explanation. And thank you to all the public who was there, and we'll listen to this interview the next day. I hope so. And it was great to be with you guys.
Brilliant.
Great. Thank you.
A treat for us. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much, Mauro. Thank you to everybody for watching us. We will be back again with our next episode of In the Metal. Don't you dare miss it. And we'll catch up with you very soon. Thank you and good night.